This is the dam on the Drumkiernan Road, known as the Owengar River, also known as Irwin's River, on the main Drumkiernan Road. This was the proposed dam, just the bridge. We're now filming under the bridge. Today is the 5th of October. You can see here as we film the silt, we are standing on the supposed dam that's going to hold back all the waste. So we're now walking out towards this famous dam that's supposed to block off all the water. And if you see the colour and content, no way would trout survive in that condition. So there's been no attempt on the Sunday morning here. We had two fishery officers from the Shannon Fishery Board looking at it. This was the dam here. You can see that it is completely breached. And all this waste is getting into the river of it, and you can see the condition of the river as we pan back up just below the famous dam. You can see the condition of how the water is flowing through this dam that was to hold everything back. There's absolutely nothing. The trout will be going up to spawn in November from the end of this month, which is October 5th, and you can see that there's no way fish would survive in this continuous sludge. Given that this is almost 2 weeks after the landslide. So we will now go up further upriver to show you this. We're approximately 3 kilometres from Lough Allen, so all of this material is flowing in to Lough Allen. We're presently down at what was considered the control point, that they would get a valley or a low-lying ground to collect the waste as it slid. So you can see the volume of material here and how unstable it is. You see by the, as I pan around with the camera here, this is the 5th of October. We wanted to give it some time to see how things were developing. There'll be no camera crews from RTE or from on board Planala or the Fisheries Board or any place else that will want to have a first-hand view. This is north of the first point that I've showed you earlier, which was the second embankment. I will move round. I am due west of the main part, as you can see from the position of the sun. So I will move round out towards the river itself to show how serious this landslide is to the whole lake itself, not just to the river. Just pointing the camera back upriver of the second embankment. In other words, the attempt to, we were looking at the third attempt earlier. We are now looking at the second attempt, but you'll see the vast amount of material, and you can see the river, the channel of the river, that this in a flood condition, the river is completely lined with peat from the excavation. I will pan around to give you a view of the vastness of it and the potential, as I say, to damage. It is totally unstable. You couldn't walk on it. It would just, it's slicky material, which I'll show you later on. Even it tore away the side of the hill. The height of the material and the force of it stripped the embankment. I am now roughly from where I was in my last position, approximately 50 metres further south. The river here is just directly underneath me, and you can see the flow of water with the material in completely. The track of the original run of the river has been completely altered by the amount of heat. You can see the bridge at the river with the pipe there, it just held it, but the amount of erosion as the flood waters it rise in the river, it would take away considerable amounts of this material. So there's the embankment that was supposed to hold the second attempt, and you can see how it's completely eroded. I'll show you just directly underneath me there's some peat, and I will pan down and use my welly to show how unstable the material is. So I put my foot out and try and stand on it. It's complete sludge. It is sludge, and that's, I'll show you, pan out to the river the distance without changing it and in any way altering the information. So almost 4 meters away from the river, you can see, again, I will do it to show you what sort of material it is. You wouldn't be able to, there's no way you'd find your foot to stand on anything. It is absolute slick. So like, Alan is going to have to pay the price in the coming years for wind power on this, what is known as the Black Banks. There's no explanation as to what happened or why it happened, but if you cut channels through peat on a mountain, the likelihood is that it's like slicing it, a chunk of it will just drift away. I'm now on top of the embankment, a further 50 meters south of my previous position, and I'll pan round to now show you the attempt at a pond and to show the volume of material that has been excavated back. So just to let the viewer realize the volume of material. The trout spawning season will commence, as I said earlier, in early November, and it's hard to see how fish will be able to move or indeed spawn, or if they were to spawn, what the consequences would be. So I'll just pan around and then move down to the bridge just to get you a view upriver of the magnitude of this. If anybody thinks that this problem is solved or half solved, just take a look around where I'm after walking down from. Back, I'm standing on the bridge beside the second embankment, and as I showed earlier, the settling pond to, as you look to the right. So I'm panning back, you can see the digger in the background, the excavator. So what I do is go back round to show you how poorly and how unsuccessful the gravel was that was placed on the river to stop the flow. If we pan round, we will go round and see the volume of material south of it, which is back towards the lake and heading towards point number 2. You can see the field covered with peat, and you see the river here itself, the dark colour of it, and you will continue on, and I'll continue on as we look downriver on the left hand side to see the volume of material that has gone through and is down a valley, large volumes of it, thousands of tons back down along the river. I am now standing on the bridge at what is the highest road and the bridge where the first part of the slide came down this little gorge here, and you can see on either side the amount of waste or spile that has been. They attempted to block it here, but I will pan around with the camera and you will see, so that there's no editing, the amount of material that has passed across and has gone down the valley. As most of the material presently is, but you will see in the camera shot that the road is blocked, that they believe that there may be further material coming through, and for security and safety reasons they have an excavator blocking the road. And so this is what it's all about, the wind farm and generation of electricity. I'll now just pan you down the river to show where it passed through, and from the camera here you'll see that it's hidden away in the valley. So